Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining another of the Business Barns webinar. As many of you will know, our guest host this afternoon is Tara Punter, who I will pass you across to in a moment. But before we kick things off, just a couple of things to kind of introduce you to the software. On your right hand of your screen, in the right hand panel, you should see the option to raise your hand. There's a little option to raise your hand, just to check all the software's working. You can hear us, you can see Tara's screen. Could everyone just press that button to raise their hand? Fab, brilliant, they're all coming in, fabulous. Great. So also in that right hand panel, you'll also see the option where you can ask your questions throughout the webinar and throughout the session. So what we're going to do is we will ask Tara all those questions at the end. But if you have got a question as you're going through, please do let us know. Okie dokie. And one final note, just to let you know, we are in a listen only mode. So any background noise, you won't be heard, so please don't panic about that. Okay, so without further ado, I will pass you across to Tara.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Rosie. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with the Business Barn this afternoon. I am Tara. I run Tara Punter PR, which is an international equestrian and rural PR marketing and coaching company. We're based in the Cotswolds. I am a horse owner and farmer's wife myself. We live here on my husband's organic dairy farm, so very much involved in rural life. I know all about all the rural goings-ons, and I absolutely would not change it for the world. I have been doing this for 4 years now. I chose to specialise in the equestrian and rural sectors because I have been horsing my whole life. I always wanted to be able to do something that enabled me to work with horses or within the equine industry and combine that passion with a business. And I just love all aspects of rural life. So whether that's rural businesses such as what you guys here have today, whether it's the diversification aspect, rural fashion. I mean, I'm very often in Schofield and Tweed, very naturally, I know. And so it's just an absolute pleasure to be able to work with business owners and to speak to as many business owners as I can who have just got such wonderful ideas when it comes to having the rural business of their dreams. Now, I'm going to go throughout the slides today, and I have a couple of examples at the end on some rural businesses and how I think you should go about promoting yourselves. Generally, as we go through, as Rosie said, if you pop any questions in the box, and we will have some time at the end to go through questions. And I'm always on the end of the phone as well, so if anybody wanted a chat after, just to pick my brains or go through anything in any further detail, I would be more than delighted to do that for you. So today's session, we are going to be looking at what social platforms your business should be on. So I think there's generally a misconception that you should be on all of them, and that's absolutely not the case. So we'll go through which platforms are best for your business, dependent on your ideal customer. We'll also look at how you can stand out in a crowded space. There's more people online now than ever before. So what we want to be doing is creating content that is giving real good value to your followers so that you will stand out in what is becoming a very difficult, busy social platform. And we'll also have a look at a little analysis of some social platforms. So the pros and the cons, what I love about certain ones and what perhaps there might be some features in there that you weren't aware of or that you weren't, fully understanding of. So we'll go through that, as I said. So I want to just go through these social media stats just to kickstart. And these are quite staggering. These are the number of posts that were sent out every single day in 2018. Obviously, we're halfway through 2019, so the stats aren't available for this year yet, but that's just staggering. Now, social media is such a massive, massive part of any marketing strategy, any marketing activity that you do, but I will say it should never be relied on entirely, and that is quite simply because you have no control over social media platforms. Now, I'm very fortunate that I have grown my business through social media. I would say probably 95 to 97% of my work comes through social media. And I do put a lot of time into it, and I do a lot of training within it. So it has such massive potential. And I think there are more people on social media than ever before. More people are spending more time on there, they're scrolling more. So it's such a massive opportunity for yourselves as business owners. But please don't ever rely on just social media. And I will touch very briefly on this. So what I mean is You should have an email marketing list so that you have your contacts somewhere else. Always be looking at blogging, having a website. Do you have a presence that shows? Are you working with country bloggers, with influencers? From the equestrian side, do you work with riders? Do you do PR? Do you ever look into working with publications? Do you send out news pieces to publications and those sorts of things? So please, please don't rely entirely on social media. But it is amazing and it has so much potential for you. I don't know if any of you recall, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, Instagram and Facebook went down. So they're both owned by Facebook, and they were down for about a day. And the whole world just seemed to crash. And everyone just suddenly thought, oh, I don't know what to do. And there was just suddenly this mass panic. And then as soon as it comes back again, everyone's straight back online. So that's the only reason I would say don't be reliant on it, because you have no control over it. If those apps go down, if Facebook goes bust and wasn't bought out by somebody else, you lose that whole pool of contacts. But today we are here to talk about how much we love social media. So I want to just touch very quickly on the algorithm. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of the algorithm is something that is installed in the back end of every social platform. Now, the algorithm basically dictates what your followers see. So when you upload a post, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, the algorithm will determine who sees that post. Now, generally, out of your total following, so all of your followers, only 1 to 2% of your total followers will see that post to start with. Now, the way that we can increase that to more people is by creating really good content that gets people talking, gets people liking your posts, gets people commenting, gets them tagging their friends, gets them sharing your content. So then we can do what's called trick the algorithm. So we can then hopefully open it from 1 to 2% to 3 to 4%. Get people commenting, get them liking and commenting and sharing, and then maybe it'll go to 5 to 6%. So again, it's still very minute numbers compared to your total following. So even if you've got 1,000 or 10,000 followers, even if you've got just 100 followers, it's such a minute amount that see that content to start with. And that's where you need to add really good value. And we will go through that later in this webinar, so we can sort of help you work out how to create content that adds real value, so that hopefully then we can trick the algorithm and have your posts seen by more people. So this is quite a simplified chart of what platform your business should be on. Now, as I said at the very beginning, please, please don't feel that you have to be on all the platforms. I think a few years ago, if a business launched and they were just setting up their social media, they would be on all the platforms. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are kind of the main ones that I will use for this, but I will also touch on LinkedIn and Pinterest later. So in order to understand which platform your business should be on, you need to really, really, really understand who your ideal client is. And the best way to go about doing that is to draw a customer avatar. Now, a customer avatar is basically your ideal client. So for me, if I'm targeting business owners, there's obviously quite a wide age range of business owners. There are some people that are early 20s setting up a business, might be an equestrian fashion company, it might be they're a photographer, but also there is that higher end. So if there's farmers or if there's landowners who are looking to diversify or set up a glamping company, for example, they might be slightly older. They might be in the 30 to 49 or even the 50 to 64 category. So obviously that's at the point that you need to think, okay, so how can we spread this risk and how can we spread our presence online across this audience group? Now, obviously, if what you make is high-end cashmere jumpers that are very expensive, you're probably going to be targeting those with a slightly higher expenditure. Those that can afford and can justify to spend a couple of £100 on a sweater. So actually, you are more likely to be targeting those that might be definitely over 30, maybe even over 50. So actually, Facebook would be a really good platform for you. Whereas if you have got a very trendy fashion brand, or if you are a photographer for, I don't know, horse riders or, younger business owners, Instagram would be a good one for you. And again, we will go through a few more examples about this later on. But it's always a really good task to try and really work out your customer avatar. Now, like I said, I've got quite a broad customer sort of base across all ranges in terms of the age, but also lots of different business owners. So there is the equestrian side, there is the countryside. There are some that don't even fall into that at all, but perhaps might just want to work with me, and you will have that as well. But the really important thing here is to make sure that you've got a generic avatar. So actually, when you look at that avatar, you think, okay, so my target market is those from 25 to 45 who like to go and stay away at farms or in really nice country locations. They want to bring their dog or their children. They want there to be some activities. You just need to try and work that out, which will then make your content creation much easier because you'll know exactly who you're speaking to, but it will also really help you understand which platform your business should be on. So how can you stand out in a crowded space? As I said, there are more people online than ever before, and actually we're all fighting for the same space. And as we're doing so, the algorithms are getting harder and harder to work around. So as I said at the beginning, the algorithm is what dictates who sees your content. So we want to be adding content that is actually making people want to comment. We want them to be sharing it. We want them to be tagging their friends. If it's something they can relate to, they're going to be tagging their friends and sharing it. So that's something that we should always be looking to do. Now, when it comes to creating your social media content, never ever create it with you in mind. You're not creating this content for you. You are creating this content for that avatar, for that ideal client, and for your potential customers and your audience that you are speaking to. So with every post that you do, think about who's going to be reading it, who are you targeting, and who do you really want to reach out to. So I'll stick with the glamping example just for the moment. So think about what age range of people normally come and stay in your glamping pods. Are they a certain age? Are they a certain level earner? Do they come from the city? Do they actually come from the country, but come from a different area of the country? So if they're coming from the Cotswolds and they want to come up to the Lake District or to Cheshire, or actually are they people that are coming out of the city that want to come from London to the Cotswolds or London to the lakes? That will also help you with your tone of voice, I think, depending on who you're targeting, whether it is a country person or a city person. There's absolutely no judgment there whatsoever. But I think people need to be spoken to in different ways because they have different understandings of the rural life and the country life and what it is to be staying on a working farm or on a retired dairy farm. So that's really important. Now, where it says add value, you want to be sharing content that will be making your potential audience and your potential clients want to engage with you. So from my point of view, obviously, when it says add value, I do lots of trainings like this. I will be sharing lots of videos on my social media. I will be telling you how to do PR, how to do social media, how you should be marketing your business. So that's sort of how I would go about adding value. But what can you do to add value? And by that, I mean, what can you do to make your audience want to keep following you? You want them to keep engaging with you. It only takes a couple of times for the same one person to like your posts and to comment on your posts for them to be within your algorithm net. So what we want to be doing is always trying to grow that net. Now, a really good way you can do this is by sharing personal stories. Now, a lot of people put their hands up here and say, whoa, I don't want to be sharing really personal things. And I say, no, it doesn't have to be really personal. But why did you set up your business? What route did you have to be doing this business? If you have diversified your farm, why is that? Obviously, if it's because you've got a bad milk price, that's probably not a personal story to share. But did you set up a glamping, some glamping pods because you've always wanted to show people around your farm or let people understand a little bit more about what you do and share your corner of the Cotswolds? Be really honest. And by this, I mean people buy from people. And there are so many businesses out there that don't want to show up on social media as themselves. And that's fine. If you don't want to put your face to your business, as I do all the time, that's fine, but you can still share your story. And actually, you probably should have or would have a website and professional photos taken. So you can still share your story in an honest and humble way without it being all about me. It can be about the business and your route to business and what struggles have you overcome, and do you have the most amazing people that come out to see you, and do you have clients that come from America or Australia? You can share all of those sorts of things in a really humble way. Now also you need to get inside your ideal customer's head. So what are their pain points? So I'll use myself as an example again. So for me, pain points are people being able to do marketing themselves, people being able to do PR on a small budget, understanding how best to utilise social media for their business. You know, these are things that people get really stuck with and they just don't know what to do. And these are the sorts of things also that people will be Googling. So in terms of me showing up on Google, these sorts of points work really, really well. So get inside your ideal customer's head. What are their pain points? So if you are a photographer, you do rural photography, whether it's landscape, whether it's country weddings, whether it's country business owners, you know, what are those pain points? So it might be people don't know about a location for a photo shoot. It might be they don't know what to wear. It might be that they think, you know, I think a common misconception with photographers and photo shoots is that you need bright sunshine to take a photo. But actually that's one of the worst lightings that you can have. So you could do a little behind the scenes, you know, what to expect on your first photo shoot. It's all about answering all these questions before your ideal customers get them. Now you might have noticed that people ask you certain questions if they book a call with you or if they drop you an email. So you can use those sorts of things, but also just ask your friends and family and mentors. You know, you could ask them to have a look at your social media and just say, what do you think is missing from my social media? Do you think I share enough about the service or the products, or, you know, what makes us so different? Always try and think what your potential customers will be thinking. So what might be stopping them from buying from you? So always try and consider that when you are creating your content. So how can you convert followers into customers? Well, you need to make people know, like, and trust you. And that is the absolute most basic thing that you can do, but it is the most powerful. If somebody just does two of those three things, so if they know and like you, they probably won't buy. If they know and trust you because they think, okay, she's an expert, but I don't like her, they won't buy. They need to know, like, and to trust you. And that's the same whether you are selling products or services. And that's actually something that obviously when you're creating that content, always be thinking, how can I make people know, like, and trust me? So when it comes to knowing you, that's when you share your personal story. So if you used to work in the corporate world and now you set up this amazing country business, that's a great story, you need to share it. What can you do to make people like you? Be genuine, show up, let them know some of your story. You know, did you have a really tough time before? You know, show up, give loads and loads of value, give them tips, give them advice, help them out. That will help them to like you. And then in terms of getting them to trust you, this is where you want to be utilising previous customers. So in terms of asking for testimonials and reviews and sharing them, and just being consistent. I think, you know, a genuineness can come across in a number of different ways. And I think the more genuine you are online, the more somebody is likely to trust you. So I think always just be genuine, share reviews, you know, get people to know, like, and trust you. And then the more they know, like, and trust you, the more they will lean in. And the point that they start to lean in is when they will then start to, you know, start commenting on things, or they might want to sign up to your newsletter mailing list, or they might want to drop you a DM and see if you have availability. And they just lean in. And the point that they start leaning in more and more is the point that they will then start buying from you. At the end of the day, people buy from people. And that's why the know, like, and trust method is so valuable. Because the more you can show up and the more you can make people know, like, and trust you through you being genuine and loving and just as amazing as you can, the more likely people are to buy from you. You need to be consistent with all of the social media activity you're doing. Consistency is key. So make sure that you're regularly showing up. By that, I mean probably posting once a day. I probably post more than that, but then I've just got far too much to say. But I would always aim for sort of posting 5 times a week. If anybody has any questions on that with regards to specific opportunities or specific brands or specific platforms, pop it in the comments and we will go through that at the end. And lastly, be social. So you need to put the social in social media. So many people just schedule loads of content and just put it out and leave it there. As soon as anybody comments on a photo, reply. Because not only does that show that you are interested in them as a person and as a potential customer and as a follower, but it's also good for the algorithm, because remember, the more comments we can get on a post, the more the algorithm will show it to people. So if somebody's commenting, say you have 3 comments, you can quite easily make that 6. Now, obviously, don't go spamming and leaving loads of comments for each comment, but just a really nice reply, even if it's a simple, thank you so much for your kind comment and a heart emoji. You know, you don't have to overthink. Just try to make everything social, keep the conversation going, and reply to people that leave you a comment. Now, generally, you can encourage people to comment by creating sort of content that asks them for their opinion. And that's always really, really good to then try and trick the algorithm. But again, make sure you are being social with it. Engage with people. You know, this is where Instagram works particularly well, because you can just go onto accounts and start commenting and start sort of making connections. And we will go through that in the pros and cons, especially a little bit later as well, about how Instagram is just amazing, quite frankly. So I want to talk very briefly about using video in your social media. Now, by the end of this year, 80% of all content on social media will be in the form of video. Now, that's staggering, and I'm sure many of you have probably noticed that there has been a massive increase in video being shown on social recently. And the reason for that is the algorithm loves video. So when it comes to putting out content, it will put a video up here. So when I say up here, it means that it will show it to more people. It will spend longer in the timeline, it will get more video views, it will be seen by way more people. So your video is up here. If you put a post on that's just a picture and some text, that will come in here. If you put a post on, that has no picture, it will be all the way down here. And that's because these platforms are becoming very image driven, they're becoming very content driven, and they want to be giving really visual content out there. So if you can start using video within your social, you will be flying. Now, I think a lot of people get terrified of video, and they don't always necessarily need to. When I say do videos, you don't have to sit there talking at your camera like this, doing a video and speaking to it, because I know that can be terrifying. And it took me quite a long time to get over it. So trust me, it happens to all of us. But what you can do is just start filming things around. So I'm going to use the glamping pods as an example here again. So you can quite simply set your video to record and just walk around your glamping site. Walk into one of your glamping pods. Let people see the view. Let them see the free-range chickens. You know, what is it that they will see and feel and witness and smell and experience when they get to your site? You know, you want to make them think, I really want to go there. That looks amazing. And that's such a simple way to use video in your social media. Likewise, if you have a country clothing brand, if you have a new product to launch, you can quite easily just get your phone and just hang your product on a hanger or on a model and just walk up to it and, you know, show some of the features, show the buttons, show the poppers, show the zip, show the pockets, show the collar. You know, all of these sorts of things will just let people know a little bit more about that product, rather than you just showing a picture and saying, this is our newly launched gilet. So there are lots of different ways that you can go about using video without you having to get behind the video yourself. If you're feeling super confident and want to give the videoing a go yourself, a couple of top tips. I never watch my videos back, ever, because I just think I hate how I sound on video, and I just think I probably look really silly, so I just don't do it. So I will film a video. I always have some notes next to my laptop or next to my phone so that I know exactly what I'm covering. So if I'm doing 5 things that are PR gold right now, I will have those 5 keywords listed out on my notes, so that actually when I'm doing my video, I know that they're just there, because sometimes you just get a bit of a block and nothing will come out. And knowing you've got those notes there, you can just reel them off quite quickly and quite easily and then publish it. I highly recommend and kindly encourage you all to at least try video, because I think it's such a powerful way to promote your business and can just be incredible. And there are so many different ways that it can be used. So there's a little challenge for you all. Give it a go. So I'm going to go through some pros and cons for a few of the platforms now, just because if you weren't really sure on how you can fully utilize them, or if you're still not sure which platforms your business should be on, these might just give you a little idea. So Facebook, obviously the biggest platform out there, it has got more users than any other platform, and it's statistically too big to ignore. But obviously that means it's really hard to be seen in. So that's why we want to be really creating epic value. We want to be giving your customer as much as we can through video, and we want to really be utilizing your personal account as well. So I share a lot of my things on my business page, but I also share it on my personal account, simply because I know that there are people that are on my personal page that, because of how the algorithm works, won't see what I put on my business page. and the algorithm isn't so strict on a personal page as it is a business page. You can also share in groups. So for example, I'm in a number of groups myself, and there are generally days that you can share a post. So there might be a post in group saying, share your latest blog, share your latest social media post, and it's just good for getting you some traction and again, getting around that algorithm. And there's also things you can do within Messenger as well. And there's lots that can be done with Facebook ads. However, that's a whole session in itself, quite frankly. There is amazing targeting that you can do within that. You can really target your ideal customer based on the magazine they read, based on their age, based on where they live. You can do it by postcode. You can really fine tune in to a certain area, a certain person. So that's always, really good compared to advertising on other platforms. And just in the negatives column where it says more keyboard warriors than any other platform, I'm sure you've all seen them, those that have nothing nice to say. And obviously you were never told if you don't have anything nice to say nothing at all. You just don't really get those on the other platform, but that's just a minor negative. It's not something you should consider when joining your social media. Instagram. So Instagram is probably the easiest platform to increase your following because you can quite simply sign in to your business account and you can go and comment and you can like and you can follow people and just start speaking to them. You can DM them. That's not too intrusive when it comes to making connections and speaking to people. There's also a lot of journalists on Instagram, so that's a really good opportunity to start connecting with them in the hope that when you've made that connection, if they are looking for a certain location or a certain brand or certain product for a certain feature, you might already be a little bit higher up the list than somebody who hasn't connected with them on Instagram. Now, Instagram is full of beautiful imagery. So if you are a brand that has stunning imagery, such as the glamping pods, if you're a photographer, Instagram is your gold. If you have got stunning products such as cowhide handbags or tweed coats and tweed skirts and things, Instagram is massive for you. It's also growing rapidly, and there's really good opportunities with Instagram stories to sort of go behind the brand. You can create highlights that sort of remain on your profile for a very long time. And it is just really powerful. There's also Instagram TV, which is also known as IGTV. So that's where if you're creating video to share on other platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, you can upload it to your Instagram TV for more people to see it. In the negatives, there aren't that many, but when it says poor follow tactics, a lot of people just go and follow loads and loads of accounts. You can generally tell them because they're probably followed by about 25,000 people and follow about 6, and they just go through and follow loads and then unfollow them. You also need good quality imagery, but please don't let that put you off. If your audience are on Instagram, you can get around that, and we can perhaps look at how you can create those sorts of images. Twitter. So Twitter is dropping off massively, and I'd be really interested to know who of you is on there. I've known a few clients that sort of step away from it at the moment, and then I also have clients that get the majority of their web traffic through it and sales as well. It's also easier to increase your following than Facebook, so I'd say it's second to Instagram, but still easier than Facebook. There's lots of networking hours. So for example, there might be hashtag wedding hour. So if you are wedding caterers, that would be a really good networking hour for you to join in. It would be an hour slot generally from sort of 8 to 9 p.m. once a week, so it might be every Wednesday. And it's just a time that you can start engaging with people that also have similar interests. So it might be other wedding suppliers. It might be people that are looking for wedding suppliers. That's a really good way to really grow your reach and to get your brand awareness quite up there as well. And also with Twitter, it's really easy to share polls, text, images, links, video, GIFs, the whole lot. Whereas with Instagram, you can't share a link within some text. The negatives, a tweet lasts 7 seconds. So actually, when I was saying earlier in the session that you need to be posting once a day, Twitter, I'd say at least 3-5 times a day for you to have any impact. And it's also becoming much more business to business. So if you are business to consumer, it might not be the platform for you, but again, look at your avatar, find out where they're hanging out, do the market research and see if it's a good fit for you. So I'm going to touch very briefly on blogging because blogging ties in with social media really well. So if you have a website, you probably have a blog function. And this is where you can share even more of your value, even more of your ideas. You can really position yourself as an expert. And also 60% of businesses who blog get more customers than those who don't. So actually when you say you write a blog on 9 reasons to visit the Cotswolds because you have a glamping company in the Cotswolds. So obviously you want to be sharing some of the real benefits of coming to the area. It's a beautiful area. But actually, it's not just you getting people in your glamping pods. It's about saying, okay, these are some of the things you can see in the Cotswolds. So 9 things you love in the Cotswolds. So you would write your blog out and upload it to your website. You can then share that blog on your social media. Now that's got really good benefits for your SEO, which is your search engine optimization, which is how people find you online. It also gives you great content for your social media. And actually, when you then share that blog to your website, what you then want to do is when people come through social media to your blog, you want to then keep them on your website. And actually doing something like a 9 reasons to visit the Cotswolds is content that people are interested in. It's an area people are interested in. It's like, oh, 9 reasons, what might they be? So again, you've got somebody leaning in, they're interested. Get them onto the website and then try and keep them there. So at the end of the blog, you might link to another blog, or you might link to your services page. You just want to keep them there when you have them, because then actually they're more likely to buy from you. They're more likely to be a consumer of yours. It's also a really good way to get people to know, like, and trust you. Again, you can share your story, and actually it can really help position you as an expert. So if you are a rural photographer, what sort of blogs can you create to make people think, oh, she really knows what she's talking about? It might be things to consider when booking a shoot. What should you wear when booking a shoot? Booking a shoot with animals, what to consider? 5 reasons you need a castle photo shoot. There's so many different things. And then once you've got it there on your website, there's actually always content you can pull from it. So when you've got your blog of 5 reasons to visit the Cotswolds, you can actually condense that a little bit and share it on social media, you share it on your Instagram stories. So there's a huge amount that can be done once you've got that blog there. There's just a few things that you should be talking about. And again, this is all things that can be used on social media, because it's all adding value. It's making people know, like, and trust you a bit more, and hopefully wanting them to buy from you and really get to know you a bit more. So how-tos always work really well. So these are some examples that I would use for my business: how to write a press release, how to market your business, how to secure press coverage. Numerical things always work really well, and oddly, it's always odd numbers that do better than even numbers. So that's why we've got 13 marketing tips, 9 social media hacks, 17 ways to increase your brand awareness. Don't ask me why it's odd numbers, it just is. And then that personal touch, get people to know, like, and trust you. Share your story, let people know why you do what you do, what inspired you. Is this something you've always dreamt of doing? Are you doing it so that you can provide a future for your family and for your children? Just get personal and share those things. And then, quite simply, touched on this a little bit before, how can you use your blogs? Write and publish, share snippets from it for your social media. You can also then start to use these sorts of things if you wanted to do video, whether that's live or pre-recorded video, and then you can keep sharing them every now and again. You can share them on your personal page, on your business page, share them in groups. There's so many different options there that you can keep sharing those blogs. So I'm just going to go through a few things with a couple of examples now. So let's talk glamping. I think glamping is massive at the moment. I think there's never been a better time for British businesses and for those that are wanting to explore Great Britain and support British business owners, particularly with the old Brexit word that I didn't really want to mention, but with that looming, Britishness has never thrived so much. And I think it is going to thrive even more once all of this is done. So there's just a couple of ways there that you can think about starting to create your social content. So again, reasons to visit the area. What local events happen? What attractions are there? Is it an area of outstanding natural beauty? Is there a big event going on, or is there a certain time that the bluebells come out or the snowdrops come out? Is that just absolutely the most beautiful thing and a reason why somebody would want to come and visit? What makes you different? Is your glamping space on a working farm? Do you have free-range eggs from your chickens on the farm each morning? Do you make homemade bread? Do they have a really nice welcome hamper that's got homemade bread and some milk from the parlour and some eggs and some homemade butter or cheese or homemade scones? What are these sorts of things that make you different, that just makes people think, oh my gosh, I want to go there. I want to have that welcome picnic and see the eggs, see the chickens, see the farm, learn more about farm life. Again, use video, show the chickens, show the farm, show the views, the hot tub, the local area. If you're near a really gorgeous, quaint shop or tea room or a pub with a thatched roof, share these things. You need to give people that insight into what you do and into your area and into what they will experience if they were to come and stay with you. Now, competition is always a really good way to promote. Even if you ran a competition for sort of 7 to 14 days, there's still a really good way to increase your reach and get people really engaging with your page and knowing more about what you do. There are quite strict competition guidelines. So in terms of Facebook, you can't ask somebody to share as a rule of entry. So if you wanted somebody to enter a competition, you can ask them to like the post, like your page and comment. But then as a non-rule of entry, so as a, oh, why not share with your friends? It can't be a rule of entry, so always consider that. Professional photos are also worth every single penny. I know there are some photographers out there that will charge thousands. You don't have to go with those. There are amazing photographers that charge probably upwards of £100 for a shoot. And then you've got amazing photos that will tell a completely different story to if you were to take them on your own phone. Also, something to consider is looking at working with bloggers. So you might gift a weekend away to a country blogger, and then they will always have to use the hashtag gifted, just so that their followers know that they have been given that weekend away. But actually, in exchange for a review and for them to share it on their Instagram, if they have 12, 13, 14,000 followers, there is a chance that some of those will buy from you. So that's always something to consider as well. But just make sure if you go down that route, they are respected country bloggers and that the amount of followers they have are genuine, because staggeringly, people still buy their followers. I think this is my last example. So catering. So again, if you are a catering company and you cater for weddings, you might cater for dinner parties, you might cater for picnics. Who do you cater for? What can you cater for? Can you do all sizes, or are you better off just doing, under 20 people or 100 to 200 people? Are you location independent? Can you cope with all dietary requirements? And again, what makes you different? Do you work with local chefs, British produce, award-winning butchers? Again, go for the photos, because it's very hard to make food look tasty. And again, do you use produce from your own farm or locally sourced ingredients? And finally, it's never been a better time to buy the British. So to conclude, do not underestimate the power of social, but again, please don't rely on it entirely for all of your marketing activity. And ensure you know which platforms are best for your audience. Don't worry about what your best friend, your mum, your sister, your neighbour or your auntie does, because your business is for you. So work out who your ideal client are, look at that avatar, look at the age, look at what they're doing, where they're hanging out, and really start to get into their minds and think what they're going to be looking for on social. Repurpose blogs. If you ever get any press coverage, share that on social media, and just make sure that your content offers value. Encourage engagement so we trick the algorithm and create content that people want to share and tag their friends in. So thank you so much for listening. That's the last of my slides. I now would love to hear your questions, and we will welcome Rosie back.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. No, that was brilliant. Really refreshing to hear, and lots of useful tips, I think. So that was brilliant. So as Tara said, if you have got any questions, please do ask them in your right hand. Just type them in. They'll come through to me, and I can feed those into Tara. So just to kick off, first question is about boosting on Facebook.
Okay.
How do I go about it, and is it an option? Is it the right kind of way forward?
So generally, we always want to be creating content that is making people want to see it. And I would always say, if you have a bit of a budget to be able to spend, try to make people be seeing that post before you boost it. So never boost a post that has no likes, no comments, no shares, no engagement, because it just won't work when you boost it. If you have something that's getting lots of comments, it's promoting your brand in a subtle way, you're getting lots of likes, you're getting some shares, it's got a good reach, that's a good time to then boost, because you will get so much more from your money if you boost it. Also, if you're looking to start looking at either Facebook ads or boosting a post, start playing around with audiences. So even if you spend £1 per day for 5 days just to test an audience, just to make sure it's really working for you before you then might spend a bit more money. But always make sure you're boosting a post that is already working well.
Fantastic, brilliant. So a question that's come in from Claire is, do you have any tips for measuring social media in one dashboard? So that's quite a good one actually, in terms of looking at analytics. Is there one way to measure everything, or do you have to use different platforms?
No, there isn't one way, unfortunately, and that would be a genius thing if somebody could invent that. I actually monitor everything in a spreadsheet, so I have got everything on one big spreadsheet so I can see it all together. But it's just something that I set myself to do as a weekly task, so I know what's been going on, what's been working well and not working well. And always when you're looking at those insights, look at follower numbers, also look at how many people have unfollowed, and look at the organic reach rather than paid reach. So if you're starting to look at ads and things, always look at the organic reach. And always just try to test different things. So I'm forever testing things on my Instagram just to see what works best in terms of imagery or in terms of content that I share, in terms of hashtag usage, what time of the day I post. And I really encourage people to do that as well, because I think so many people don't know what time of the day to post, and there is no one size fits all answer. It's just down to you and your business and your followers and what time they'll be online. So do have a play around with it and see what works best for you. But I think the reporting side is so important, whether you do it as a manager for a number of different accounts or even just for yours. You know, you've got to know what is working, what isn't working, otherwise you're just wasting your time.
And just to add on to that one, do you think that the analytics that the social media platforms provide us with, do you think they're reliable?
I think they are, but I think they shouldn't be relied on. So Instagram this morning did an update, I think last night actually, that they're just starting to roll out where you can't see the number of people that have liked a post, because they want you to be creating content that's providing value. Now, when it comes to looking at analytics, yes, you can have massive reach and you can have thousands of likes on a photo, but is it converting to sales? So I don't generally look at likes and reach and all those sorts of things on my own platforms. I look at leads, inquiries, I look at sales, I look at web traffic, and I look at how this content is working for me. I think people can sometimes just get so bogged down in how many likes they have or, you know, the reach of a post, but actually think, is it working? Are you getting sales from it? And are you getting serious leads that can then hopefully lead to sales?
Fab, thank you very much. And another question has come in from, I think it's Lindsay. So, hello, please can you let me know your thoughts on website links in posts? Would it be better, would we be better using the shop option or both? I worry it restricts our reach.
So, generally, social media platforms want to keep you on the platform. They don't want you to be taking traffic away elsewhere. So in terms of Facebook, the best thing to do is to put a post and then pop a link to the website in the comments. Now, if you're scheduling content, and generally I do recommend scheduling content because if you don't, life gets in the way and you might not post for a week. If you are manually posting something, you can pop a link to the website in the comments. But with Instagram, you can't really you can't put a link in the text of an Instagram post. So what you would do in that instance is put your post, put your image on, and then put a link in bio. And by doing that, you're making people then go through to your bio, to your page, where they can then click on a link to go through to where you want to take them. Now, because you can only put one link there, you can actually get your website designer to put in a number of links there. So you'll see the Business Barn do it on their Instagram. I do it on my Instagram. It just gives you more options in terms of where you can send people. So if you want to send them to your Facebook group or to your Facebook page, you can pop that link in. If you want them to sign up to your newsletter, you can pop that link in. If you want to send them to a certain page on your website, such as your blog or such as your services page, you can put all of those links in. If you don't have a website just yet, but you want to send people to other places, there's an app called Linktree that you can use. But if you do have a website, I would encourage asking your website host to create that for you, because as soon as you click on that link in your bio, if your link in bio is hosted by Linktree, you don't get you don't get the website stats from Instagram. Whereas if you have a website that's got lots of links on it that you then share as your link in bio, so mine's tarapunterpr.co.uk/links, that page that is called links, which is on my website, I then get all of that traffic. I get all of those Instagram visitors to my website. So I then have that data and I then have them on there. So I know how many people are coming to my website from Instagram. And actually, since having that on there, the traffic from Instagram to my website has increased massively, because there are now so many options that I can send people to. So I can send them to my services page and to my coaching application form and to my recent blogs and recent press releases. So that's something that I would really, really recommend. And like I said, have a look at what the Business Barn do and have a look at mine if you want to just see what you can pop on there.
Really good advice. Thank you, Fab. And another question from Sarah. So what is the best way to gather email addresses?
So what you want to be doing is creating something called a freebie. So this is basically something that you can create and give away in order for people to sign up. So I'll use mine as an example. So for me to start collecting people's email addresses, I want to be able to give something away that they will find really valuable, that they can utilize whenever they like, and that actually makes them want to give me their email address. So when they sign up, they get this as an automatic freebie download. So mine is 5 PR hacks that you can use to guarantee yourself coverage in magazines. So it's my 5 biggest PR tips that I ever have, and it's what I share with my coaching clients, it's what I do for myself. It's PR tips that have worked. And so that's what I'm sharing as my freebie to get people to sign up to my email database. Now, obviously, if you are offering something like a glamping business, for example, again, you want to be sharing value. So could it be, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, could it be 5 reasons to visit the Cotswolds? That could even be a freebie download. You just basically want to offer something that people will want to know. You're solving a problem for them, and it will make them want to sign up. Again, if you're a photographer, 5 things to consider when you book a photo shoot. You know, there's lots of different things. Just make sure it's adding value. Alternatively, you can always offer a discount code. So you could say get 15% off your first order if you sign up to my newsletter. You should be able to automate all of that within your newsletter or your mailing system. So I use MailChimp and it can just automate quite easily. Yeah, really great question.
Fab. And then last question is actually from me, that one I've just sort of noted down. How do you go around coming up with fresh ideas for social? Because sometimes it can be quite easy to get caught up in the same sort of thing over and over again. How do you go around making sure that's really fresh and is related to what your audience want?
Great question. So I have got a notes section on my phone, which is massive, and it has just got so many ideas. Now, generally for me, the time that I think of things that I want to write are when I'm riding, driving, or walking my dog. So they're not really times that I can get my notebook out or get my laptop out. So I've got a voice recorder, and I just speak anything into my voice recorder that I think of that would be good to share as a post. So I've got loads of post ideas. So it might be somebody sent me a DM saying, I'm really stuck with this, can you help? And I just think, of course, and that's a social post. I also think about things when I'm reading. So if there's a quote that's really interesting, I might use that as part of a social post. Or if there's a statistic, I think just having that note section on your phone so that anytime you think of something, it will just make the content creation so much easier. I also think as soon as you sit down to create your social media content, say you do it every Wednesday morning, if you haven't got a bank of content to, a bank of ideas to start working with, you probably will really struggle, because it's as soon as you sit down to work at your laptop, your mind just thinks, no, not feeling it now. And you're too busy trying to work your conscious mind. But actually, when you're doing things like driving, riding, walking your dog, that's when your subconscious mind kicks in. And that's when you will think of things that you want to be able to share that you think will be really good. There's also quite a good system that I've used for myself and clients previously, and that is looking at awareness days. So yesterday was World Emoji Day, and the amount of people that were using that hashtag on social media was insane. So, I mean, you can even be quite fun about it, and say you've got, the egg could be yours. If you've got glamping and you've got your free-range chickens, a fried egg could be your most used emoji, or one that you use the most, or that you think of the most. And actually, you can just be quite fun and, again, quite personal with it. And just sharing things like that will get people to know, like, and trust you. It's also World Trivia Day. I think it's the beginning of January. And again, it just goes mad that day of social media. And it just will help you jump on the back of this hashtag and, again, be seen by more people. So when you're sort of looking through social media, if you see something such as the World Emoji Day or Love Your Dog Day, I mean, it was National Kissing Day a few weeks ago, and all my social media was people kissing their horses and dogs. I'm like, I'm all over that. So again, I would just write those down. I've got a note section on my phone, and I also have the last page in my diary, so that at the end of the year, I know that I've got all of these dates, so that I can then just start popping those into my diary for next year. And it just really takes the pressure off, I think, because it is so hard to start thinking of content all the time.
Yeah, brilliant. And actually, one final question I picked up on as you're going through, have you got any recommended scheduling tools for social media?
Yes, so there are a couple for Instagram. So I use Hootsuite and Planoly. So Hootsuite is Hootsuite, and Planoly is Planoly. Planoly, basically, when you're scheduling your social media or scheduling your Instagram, you can actually see how it would look on the grid. So for the really visual people, that works really well. And Facebook, you should always schedule within Facebook because it doesn't like you scheduling from an external source. So actually you can schedule really well within Facebook, and then once you've scheduled your posts within Facebook, you can click see scheduled posts, so you can see when they're all going to go out. You can see what the content is, you can see what the image is, see what the time and the date is, so you can see everything there. And then for Twitter and LinkedIn, I use Buffer. So there are other platforms again that you can schedule for those. But the reason I love Buffer for Twitter and LinkedIn is because when you get the URL link and you paste it into Buffer, it automatically brings up an image from that page. Whereas I've used a couple of other ones before that just don't bring up that image. So then you've got to add in an image. And I know it sounds like not much, but when you create as much content as I do for myself and various people, it just makes everything so much easier. So those are the ones that I would use, but always schedule Facebook in Facebook.
Brilliant. Fab. Okay, well, I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much, Tara. Really appreciate your time, and I hope everyone's found the session useful. Just to say, there's lots more information on the Business Barn website as well. Tara's written a lot of that content, so if you did want to have a quick read through that, then please do. We also have a forum on the website, so if you've got any outstanding questions, do feel free to ask them on there, and Tara and other people will receive those and we will be able to reply to them. We do have upcoming webinars also scheduled. We are taking a break for August just because of school holidays and everyone's away in bits and bobs, but please do keep an eye on things coming up. And thank you very much again, and thank you, Tara.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And if anybody has any other questions, feel free to just get in touch somehow. I'd be more than happy to answer those for you. So thank you for having me.
Just to say, sorry, Tara's, you will receive an email after the webinar, which will have all Tara's contact details in. So if you have got any questions, please do use those and send Tara an email through that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.